Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Outside, the art and science of watch collection. Today what we're going to talk about is buying a watch with a certain movement. In other words, rather than looking for the brand of the watch, you're looking for the caliber of the movement, and we're going to look at one caliber, actually two. It's the Unitas 6497 and the 6498. Most of the time we're going to be looking at the 6498. It's a very interesting movement, one of my favorite movements. It's an ETA movement that originally was made in 1950 by a company named Unitas, and then ETA bought it. But it's essentially the same movement. They added a few things to it, but we'll talk about that a bit. But first, I want to talk about the watch of the week. And the watch of the week this week is called the Legacy Machine by MB&F. And among the many things this incredible watch has, this, by the way, Healer 74 was nice enough to put this little mini video together for us. To go through it, and one of the main features of it is the artist name is Zia Hang, and I may have said that wrong and I apologize, but he's the artist that took a full-size sculpture and made it little so that it could be used as a power reserve indicator. So it was really a remarkable feat. And it's a remarkable watch, and I want to thank Healer 74 for letting us show that, along with a little video that went along with it. Okay, so now let's take a look at the Unitas 6498. Now, the 6498 and the 6497 were both made for pocket watches, and they became popular again in the early 2000s when the watch sizes started to increase. They went from, 36, 38, right around in there, and next thing you know, they're up to 40, 42, 44. I mean, they really got big. Well, the nice thing about the 6498 was it was big too. It's a pretty good size watch. It's about 16 and a half leads, which is 36.6 millimeters, which is a very good size watch. I mean, you're going to need about a 40 millimeter watch for one that big. It might be able to fit in a 38 millimeter, but that's a big case filling watch. This is what I like. I mean, the movement, the case filling. Here is a Beauvais 42 millimeter, and the movement fills the whole thing. This is the same thing that's done with the 6497-98. Now, the difference between these two is really simple. Okay, and this is the position of the small seconds. I put it in sort of a light green, and you can see that they look like they're both at 6 o'clock, but when you look at the see if I got a normal watch here. when you have your crown on the side, like we wear them on our watches, we turn it, and so that if in your stopwatch, or not your stopwatch, but your pocket watch is up here, and then we turn it to where we're going to be looking at it with a wristwatch, it rotates where the small seconds are going to be. Now, most pocket watches had the small seconds down here at 6 o'clock. And so when you rotated them, they moved up to 9 o'clock. Now, the 6498 was called the Hunter model, and the Hunter model was open from the side, and the crown was over on the side of it. And so when they converted it to a wristwatch, they just were able to leave the small seconds where they were in the same place. And you can see here they're in a little different place. So if you see a watch with the small seconds over at 9 o'clock, like, let's see, I think, yeah, this is set up, they're over at 9 o'clock now. Here they're 3 o'clock, and here they are at 6 o'clock. Now this particular watch is almost like a pocket watch because that's what they wanted. The early pocket watches had the bow and crown, or the what they call a bar lug, to hold them onto a strap. But essentially what they were pocket watches with straps on them. This 1930 Beauvais sort of celebrates the period where the transition was taking place between pocket and wristwatches. Okay, so now what I did is that, well, looking at this movement, let's see where you have what you get. Okay, now your typical excuse me, your typical ETA 6498 is you can get them new for about $175 retail. That's a retail price. Watchmakers pay a lot less than that. They buy them by the hundreds or the thousands, and you get significant discounts. So they're paying maybe $100 or so. And this is what they look like when there's sort of everything is undecorated except for one thing. This particular picture that I have shows that it has blued screws. These were heated, but they weren't really the best process. But they were heat blued screws, and but a lot more can be done to it to make it nicer. Now you can decorate it, you can put engravings on it, you can add things to it, and so we're going to take a look at what's been done with this movement. And a great deal of, watchmakers, apparently they just love this thing because it's a nice big movement that will go into a watch, and then when you look at the back of it, you don't see some little bitty movement in one of the more modern sized watches, something around 40 millimeters. And also remember now, one of the purposes that I hope is this channel is for collectors. So I'm always trying to find a good deal for you. Okay, let's start off. This is the first group, and I took 3 different watches. I took a Stoa, and this is looking in the back. And if you look at the Stoa, you can see that they have the blued screws, and they also heat blued, and then they have the Geneva waves. They have straight across Geneva waves. The Steinhardt is a regulator, and the Steinhardt has almost no decoration. You do have the blued screws though, and you have probably a copper barrel and winding gear on it. And but otherwise it's pretty much like the other ones. Now, one of the interesting things that I brought up the Meiser Singer and the Steinhardt regulator and the single-handed Meiser Singer, is that you can do a lot with the same movement. In other words, this is the same 6498 that's in the Stoa, and a lot of the others we're going to look at, but these guys are all, doing different things. Okay, and like I said, there's different amount of decorations and stuff. Like, for example, if you look very carefully at the right below the balance wheel, you can see some perlage on the Meiser Singer. they're adding something to it. Okay, this next group of watches, there are one company we talked about in depth, and we mentioned the other one when Clyde and I had a streaming video on it, and this was Cornell. Now they have, both of these are regulators, by the way, because I like to use regulators because then they have to have separate dials for everything, and this is, shows what can be done with this 6498. Quite a versatile watch. Okay, if we look at both of them have really done a lot to the movement. Both of them have put snailing on both the barrel gear and the winding gear. The Ninkrist has circular Geneva waves. It has a swan neck regulator. Both of them have the swan neck regulator. And Cornell, I don't know if that's gold plated or what. I'm not sure. It could be copper for all I know. But I mean, they've really done a lot to it. It's not the same. They're not simply using the same plates. If you look at the plates on the Steinhardt, for example, they look exactly the same as the ones that I showed you initially, and that's what they are. Also, the thing I like about Steinhardt, you know what you're getting. If they put a ETA in their watches, they tell you they're putting an ETA, and they tell you the kind of ETA they're putting in. By the way, too, one of the things I really like about the 6498 and 6497 is that they run at either 2.5 or 3 hertz. They're not 4 hertz. At some point in time, I talked about the really good watches having lower frequencies. And I thought, wow, well, this is something. So here's all of these watches are running either at 3 or more likely at 2.5 hertz. Okay, and the price differences here, the Cornell is $52.40 and the Thomas Ninkrist is $35.40. Now this is getting up there. But if you know what's in it, then you can decide whether that you might enjoy it. Okay. Moving right along. Now here's one that I found, and this is another thing I think is important that I like to do, is Bon Mercier has two of them. The retail price was $49.90, $5,000, and boy, they got the bottom opened up there, and if you look in the back, it's been skeletonized, so they've done a lot. Now this one, though, I found it for $29.94, condition 0 on one of the secondary markets. So you can get some good buys on ones. But we're still talking about that basic 6498 movement. Now there's one in Great Britain, a British model using it called the Pinion. They sell for £16.25, which seems pretty good price. Nice looking watch. It reminds me of a Panerai Luminor. Just sort of at a glance. If you like those, that's great. If you don't, then forget what I said. I translated it into dollars. It's about $21.30. It's still, it's not crazy high prices. Now, another company, an American company, RGM, has one. I think it's called the 120. And it sells for $29.50. Neither one of those had any shots of the back that I could find, and so I don't know what kind of decorations or anything they did on the movements, but I sure like the dial on both of them. So there's more than just a movement, but I know what you're getting. All right, moving right along. Now here's one. Here you have an 18 karat gold Tissot with a power reserve indicator, and it's called the Sculpture Line Power Reserves, and it's made of 18 karat gold, and the retail price is $5,100, which is great for a solid gold 18 karat gold watch. And then I found one in condition 0 for $35.19. Now, getting a gold watch, 18 karat gold watch for $35.19 is a huge deal. I'm not sure the year that this particular watch was made, but back in the 90s, the early 2000s, gold was like about a couple $100 an ounce, and now it's up to $1,400 an ounce. So some of these older ones that haven't been melted down for the gold. This one looks pretty nice, little Giloche, and then again, it's got the 6 o'clock small seconds. Whether that particular design is you like or not, but one thing you can tell if you know it's got a 6490 98 in it or 97. You know the size. It's going to be probably 38, 40, at least 38, probably more like a 40 millimeter watch. So that's a big hunk of gold that they have there. Okay, now another one. This is another Tissot that's coming out in September that was advertised at the 2018 SIHH show. And the reason I wanted to show it is that to show that, look, here's this movement that's, was 65 years old or something. It was first made in 1950. They're still using it today. And now this one is, they're selling for around $1,000, 995 euro. Who knows? It's not coming out till September, so once it hits the stores, we'll know for sure. But when you look at this, you can see it's just got 6498 written all over it. The size of the case, the small seconds at 6 o'clock, and they got it wide open in the back. You can see everything. I love that watch. It's a heritage. I think it was anti-magnetic. It's a heritage going back to when they first had them. I think I mentioned this watch before. I like it. It turns out it's not anti-magnetic though. That's so funny. Okay, let's go on. Here's some more watches. Now this is Archimede and another one by Glycine. Glycine, look at Glycine has done to the 6498. They got all of this kind of little engravings on it and stuff. They really dolled it up nicely, and but they have one of the lowest prices, $430.99. That's from Amazon. That's an Amazon price. Amazon does give discounts, obviously, but boy, I tell you, that's you're getting you're really getting a fancy movement with that one. The Archimede KS42, the 42, it's a pilot's watch, 42 millimeters. Again, you're getting a nice size if you like those. I like the big crowns on those pilot watches. I like those big onion crowns the best. I mean, if you can get a pilot watch, go on a big old crown. You can find it easily. Okay, now finally, what I found. This is sort of interesting on the Tag Heuer. This thing retails for $34.95. The Carrera, and they call it Caliber 1. And boy, have they done a lot with the plates and everything on this 6498. And they got the blued screws, and they have these, they have skeletonized sort of the main barrel gear and the winding gear. So that's sort of interesting. But then when you look at the dial, there you got the small seconds at 6 o'clock. And they got some other red hand in there. I'm not quite sure what that does. But it's the same movement. They call it a Caliber 1. Not unusual for a lot of companies to do that. Anyhow, okay. Well, love to hear what you think about that. Trying to find, if you shop by movement, I think you're way ahead of the game. You start with a movement. Movement I like is the 5100 Vacheron Constantin. You can find it in both the overseas and the Quadrille. And the Quadrille is a lot less for what I consider to be a really good movement. And other movements you may know about or find out about, I think they're great tools to use. Like to hear your opinion. Know of any good movements that you think that'd be worth, following up and trying to find some interesting watches on it, or even if you want to use it as a hobby to put in your own make. Okay, well, until next week, until next Friday, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.